who called down and said that he had to see a priest. And it was about 11 o'clock at night. And I said, I'm not going to be able to get a priest, but I'll come up and talk with him. And he said, no, I really need a priest. And I said, I will be up. And I walked in. He said, I need a priest. And I said, well, I will tell you, it will be almost impossible to get a priest. No priest is going to answer the phone. And he said, okay. So I said, is there anything I can do for you? And he said, well, I've got a lot on my mind and I'm going to die in the morning. I said, you're going to die in the morning? And the nurse didn't tell me anything about that he was fine and that he was dehydrated and he was going to be fine. They got him hydrated. So I sat next to him and he started telling me his life story, like a life review. Mm-hmm. And some things were very sad and some things were really very happy. And he just went on, and you could just see his shoulders started to relax and so on. And he looked at me and he said, now, when I go to God in the morning, what do you want me to say about you? And I said, well, tell God that I really love him and that I took good care of you. He said, okay, I will. And then I said, I will put that the priest will come and see you probably around 8 o'clock tomorrow. He said, forget the priest. And I said, okay. He said, would you give me a blessing? And I gave him a blessing. And I don't know why, but I said, would you give me a blessing? And he did. So I went downstairs about 4 o'clock in the morning. They called me. Oh, I went to the nurse and she said, no, he keeps talking about he's going to be dead in the morning. And I'm telling you, there's nothing that would indicate he was going to die in the morning. And so
how old was he?
He was about my age, what I am now. Mm-hmm. But, you know, he lived quite a bit of life. And he said, I went downstairs, and about 4 o'clock in the morning, because it was a night shift, I get this call. And they said, oh my gosh, Chaplain, you have to come up here. I went up there, and he had died. So here I am. I have until 8 o'clock. I couldn't get him out of my mind. I just couldn't get him out of my mind. And I said, you know, I just feel like I gave him my very best, but you never know. What did I give him enough? I was questioning, should I have really attempted to call the priest? What should I have done? And when I went off the shift, I went across the bridge, and as I was going down, there was a glow around my car. My car was glowing, and it was a dark colored car. It was just glowing. And I thought, he's with me.
You were blessed.
I was truly blessed.
Mm-hmm.
The other story I have was a young man who was dying of HIV.
Oh, young man.
And he had had HIV for quite some time, and we didn't have antiretrovirals yet. His mom and his sister and his auntie just adored this young man. Mm-hmm. And of course, they were all feeling a bit guilty that he had acquired the virus and so on. He was delightful. Gary was his name. So anyway, I got to know Gary over about a 3-month time, because he'd be in the hospital and out of the hospital and so on. And one morning, I got this call, Gary in room such and such wants to talk to you right away. He said, I know I was awake, but there was a blue light in my room. And there was a hand reaching out to me. And he said, I was too afraid to take the hand. And I said, Gary, is there anything that you still need to do in life? And he said, not really. He said, it's spring, and I've already made sure that the roses are ready to bloom, and I've planted seed so that there's flowers will come up in the garden. So I said, if the blue light comes again, he said, do you think I should take the hand that reaches out to me? And I said, do you want to? He said, I've suffered a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, to see my mom and my sister and my auntie suffer with me is almost more than I can bear. But he said, do you think I would be cheating them? And I said, I don't think so. But I think that's between you and the blue light.
Mm-hmm.
So the next morning, he wasn't there in his bed. He had died during the night. And at his funeral, his mother said to me, I just know he had so much life left in him. He planted the flowers, and I'm sure that he would have wanted to see them come up. And I said, but he saw a blue light with a hand, and he must have taken it. And she said, so he was ready. Those are my two favorite. I have many stories about the young man who wouldn't talk to me. He was HIV positive also, wouldn't talk to me, never looked me in the face, never cared at all. And so they said that he was no longer responsive, and would I just come up and sit with him so he didn't die alone. So I walked in the room, and as I do with every patient, I touched his hand and I called his name, and he opened his eyes and turned his head. And his hair was really messed up. The only thing he ever said to me was, can you get me a comb? So I said to him, would you like me to get a comb for you? And he nodded. So I went and got a comb. He was too weak to comb his hair. I said, would you like me to comb your hair? And I combed his hair. And now this guy was unresponsive,
Mm-hmm.
He said, thank you. Thank you. So I took his sheets, I straightened out his sheets and everything. And when I started for the door, I saw him put his head like this. And he was gone.
Wow.
Those are my stories. I have many.